Well, there are different benefits, I guess, for both of those groups. Let me pick an example for the brands first. So there are some companies that use AI and machine learning to recognize what's happening in video, and as we all know, online video is growing massively, right? People are moving off the big screen in the living room to YouTube and Facebook and lots of other destinations on the web, including a club website where you have video, a club app. And in those videos, you'll see a lot of moving objects, but those moving objects, let's call them athletes for a bit, are wearing jerseys. There's logos on them, right? So some of the artificial intelligence and machine learning applied to that is basically measuring the attentiveness of the audience towards certain logos, right? So is the logo visible? How long is it visible? Which logo is it in the first place? Like character recognition or image recognition. And it's quite interesting from a brand perspective to actually see how visible am I, not just on television, but also on all the other different sources of video these days. And I think to do that at bigger scale is quite interesting. From a rights holder perspective, I think there's a slightly different perspective. If you think about marketing your product, let's take board advertising for a second. At the moment, you would sell to a beer brand, let's say Heineken, and you put Heineken on the board. One of the partnerships that we have with a company called VizRT, based here in Switzerland, they're actually overlaying that Heineken advertising. Let's say Heineken is sold in 20 big markets, but maybe when you go to Thailand, Singapore is more relevant than Heineken. With machine learning algorithms and AI, they're actually able to recognize, even with the players moving in front, the ball jumping back and forth, they're able to recognize where the board really is. They're virtually, in a digital stream, able to virtually overlay Singer advertising just in that one target market in Thailand, for instance. So you actually, as a rights holder, you're able to sell the board multiple times with a regionally relevant messaging, with a regionally relevant brand, which I think is both interesting from a rights holder perspective, obviously, but also from a brand perspective, because you're not spraying and praying in marketing terms, but you're actually putting your brand where it belongs in front of the audience that's actually relevant for you, right? Taking that a step further, I think in the distant, not so distant future, maybe, I think that both rights holders and brands will actually use that first step of virtual advertising to actually create markets of one, where you're not just geographically targeting advertising through AI and machine learning, but you have a scalable approach where you can actually say, I know Bob is sitting in front of his television or sitting in front of his computer watching a game, because I know it's Bob and he's lactose intolerant. I'm actually not giving him yogurt advertising at that point in time, but I'm giving him a for him personally relevant advertising for products that he would actually is likely to enjoy, which is, I think, the next iteration of virtual advertising, which is quite interesting. Well, I think from a fan perspective, and I'm a fan, as hopefully you are, of sport, I certainly don't want to be bothered with irrelevant stuff. I give you an example. If I interact with my favorite football club, if the football club sends me SMS reminders or alerts through the app, also sends me email messages and Facebook Messenger text messages, etc., there's kind of an overboarding of messaging that is maybe not targeted or custom to me and my consumption behavior. So I think using something like machine learning, where you can actually look at open rates of the individual text messages and then determine, well, this person, although I sent him 100 newsletters, has actually never opened one of the newsletters, has never clicked on a link. So is that from a CRM and targeting and fan interaction management perspective, is that really the way to go forward, or is there a better way of reaching that person? And because you have millions of fans, ideally, you cannot make those decisions on a manual basis. So you need machine learning algorithms to actually determine what messaging works, where do you have the best click-through rates, where do you have the highest interaction rates, and then make suitable and reasonable decisions on your messaging towards your fans. And I think, quite frankly, speaking from a fan perspective, I'm much more receptive to targeted messaging, relevant content. I talked a bit about scalability and using machine learning and AI to recognize, if I'm a Robert Lewandowski fan, that he's a Robert Lewandowski fan. I want to give him that highlight of that particular striker because he's a really big fan of that. Doing that at scale in kind of a personalized and contextual fashion, I think, is certainly also benefiting the fan as it is benefiting maybe the brand or the rights holders that's offering the content.